We picked up structured pathways, created sifting, sorting, and selecting, which for me, I'll tell you what sifting and sorting was. It was a common, plain language version with a plan. And here was the plan. We needed to find a couple of sites to land the work. So, for those of you who are involved in the nuts and bolts, you know what that means. You find a principal who's willing to take it on, and then you land there. And what we did, so in education terms, for those of you who are teachers, we set up an inquiry, right? Because we had a question, and we had to start with the question. And the question was, what if we took the students who would have typically landed and applied and moved them into academic with a series of supports and a plan? That was our inquiry. What would happen then? So we went up to C.W. Jeffries. Some of you may have heard of it. I know it well. I love Jeffries. Monday Gala, outstanding principal, a group of committed staff. Good relationships with the feeder school. Critical. So we went to Gala, and we said, Gala, what do you think? And there was uptake. But we had to keep the lessons of 1992 in mind. So, over to Elia Junior Middle School we go, starting at around this time of year. Because you know, this is when the parents of grade 8 students start to meet to make decisions about high school. And we said to the parents, because there's this whole notion about de-streaming. For me, de-streaming implies that you just put them all together and you don't necessarily raise the bar. For us, it wasn't about de-streaming. This was not about de-streaming. It was about all students opting into academic. So we didn't have a grade 9 de-streamed course at Jeffries. We offered English, a couple of subjects, at grade 9 academic. And amazingly enough, parents decided, yeah, I want my child to opt into academic. There was some hesitance, though. People were hesitant. Did I use the word hesitant right, Trustee Bill?
Yes, you did.
Okay, excellent. Because I know you always correct me in that regard.
I love the body language.
Because when you beat up kids and families for so long, and then you say, hey, we're going to move you into academic, they're like, ay, I'm not going to make it. When you've been told for the first 10 years of your academic life that you're not good enough, and then someone tells you, but we're going to move you into here, you're shaking. You don't want it. We actually had to have conversations, individual conversations with grade 8 parents. Because that was the key, right? That relationship with the grade 8 parent about why this would work for your child. Are you sure you're not setting my child up to fail? So here was our plan. So after we worked with the parents and we had those conversations, we did 3 very important things at Jeffries. The first was to revamp the curriculum of the courses that we were going to teach in academic, top to bottom. And we did it from an Afrocentric perspective. Wasn't a big deal. You just look at who you're trying to serve and go back to one of the common principles of teaching. Make sure it's relevant to the students who are in front of you. So we invested dollars. And we also borrowed resources from 2 schools that had specific programs. Winston Churchill in the east and Downsview in the west. Didn't have to be Afrocentric, everybody. It just basically means that give them some stuff they're going to want to be into learning. The days of the class set of the Chrysalids or Lord of the Flies, it's done. The days of buying 30 Catcher in the Rye, as brilliant as Salinger is, are done. I love walking into a grade 9 classroom and seeing level books. Must. So that was the first thing. The second thing is we had to invest deeply in teacher learning. So every single teacher who was involved in this part of the work would have 5 days of professional learning that they had to commit to. 5 days. And we went hard. We learned lessons from that. Because in the first year what we did is we took, that's the equivalent of 30 hours. So almost like a full week of learning for the teachers. Because what we did the first year is we took the teachers out. And then we thought, nah. Because when you take teachers out of their classrooms for that long, especially when classroom settings are tricky anyway, and insert a supply teacher, you're losing a lot of valuable instruction time. So how we shifted the learning in the years after that, we're making sure that it was more classroom embedded. So instead of taking the teachers out to the experts, we brought the experts into the teachers. And that worked amazingly better. And the third one, and this is where I hit a snag, and I know people are sort of going to snicker, okay? The first year at Jeffries, we picked the teachers. We picked them. So we said, will you please, and will you please, and will you please? And boy, did they ever respond. And sometimes we thought, now we're about to create a division in the school. Because what about the teachers that don't get picked? We just had to have those conversations out in the open. Because it wasn't as much a shoulder tap as it was sitting with your faculty and saying, okay, everybody, here's what's up. And we're more than glad to accept where you are as long as you're willing to come along on this journey. And there was an amazing pickup. And I want to tell you what happened. We took a look at the success rate of students for 5 years previous to this work in both applied and academic. So we looked at the students who we picked up, who had applied, who intended to go into applied, and then landed in academic. And their success rates in the academic level courses far outstrip the success rate of applied level students for the 5 previous years before that. So not only did they achieve better, their life trajectory changed. You guys, I'm telling you, when you see the potential outcomes for applied versus academic, my greatest accomplishment in life is that I'm the father of 3 beautiful little boys. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't want my sons in applied. I don't want them in there. I'm a bureaucrat at the highest level of the largest school district in the country. That could be problematic for me to say, but I've got to tell you what's in my heart. It'll just change. It'll affect their lives for the worse. So when I see what we've done with kids, how their trajectory of life has changed because of the work of a handful of people, it's so inspiring. And then I say to myself, how do we pick up Jeffries and make it into a system type of initiative? And I want to let these guys have their say as well, but I want to tell you how that looks for us in TDSB at the moment. Again, unless you institutionalize by making it part of a larger picture, you're not going to get the traction. So for us, our trustees have approved a direction called an integrated equity framework. That is a movement for us, and I'll call it a movement, where we mobilize our resources into being more equitable in 7 very specific areas, including teaching, learning, and instruction. And our work in this area is put right in there. And it's been approved by our trustees. And they expect us now to be accountable for what's in that report. So then we go to different places. We landed at an Oakwood. We landed at a Downsview. We landed at an a Westview, Downsview, and we move it along in small increments, using the same model. Because nothing will be as destructive as if we try to spread this through the whole system and go back to those hard lessons we learned in the 90s. Right? So, our next bold move will be where every school in this district does something along those lines. Something. Some small step. We've introduced that small step to every secondary principal because we met with them. And we have said, this is what we're thinking. We don't want to do it to you, but here's what we're thinking. Please give us your feedback. Not with respect to whether something's going to happen, because it's going to happen. We want you to give us your feedback about when and how. Here's what we're proposing. Next year, this is what we would like to see. Can you do it? How am I doing for time?
You're done.
I'm done.